Hey guys, welcome back. Another Hillside Gardener episode. And today, kind of continuing the theme I was kind of talking about in the previous episode, about getting back to doing stuff by hand. Yard work by hand, getting away from always having to rely on machinery, things like that. So this episode is going to be about dethatching your lawn, what it is, and how to do it. So as you cut your grass, over the years, you're going to build up grass clippings on the lawn, which will actually act as a barrier, which is going to prevent rain from soaking in. It also will prevent fertilizer and things like that from really soaking into the soil, and can actually choke out the beneficial grasses, which gives a fertile opportunity for weeds and noxious plants such as Bermuda grass and things that you don't want growing in your lawn that you've worked so hard to establish. So there's two ways you can do this. The first one is something everyone probably has on their own anyways. Just get a nice heavy-duty rake like this. Now I say you need a heavy-duty rake because you're going to need to actually put a little bit of force into what we're going to do to actually pull the thatch or the dead plant material that's built up on the surface of your lawn. It's going to take something pretty heavy-duty. So this rake works well for that purpose if you only have this. However, what I prefer to use, which is there's a tool that you can use by hand, of course, is called a de-thatching rake. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you that. Now this guy here is what we call the de-thatching rake. This is pretty heavy duty, sturdy material here. So, and looking at it a little more closely, there are two sides to this rake. If you can see the side here is perfectly straight, okay? There's no bend in it. This is what I call more of the raking side. If you turn it over, you see this side, they're all kind of angled to the side like this. This is going to be more of the cutting side. And don't worry guys, I'm going to show you, demonstrate this, what I mean by this. Just kind of giving you a heads up ahead of time. So this is the angled side. It's going to be used for more of a cutting, more of a vertical cut. While this, like I said again, is more the flatter side, the straighter side. So this is going to be the raking, more the shallower, flatter plane, if you will. And just, I'm not going to do this now, but just so you know, on the sides here, you can loosen this up, which will actually rotate, so you can get a more vertical or more horizontal cut onto the thatch of your lawn, depending on your own purposes or own personal style and or preferences. Okay, so let's go ahead and pause here. I'm going to show you a close-up of what I mean by pulling thatch off of the lawn. Alright guys, so I've already kind of dethatched this. As you can kind of see, the soil and the stuff's been kind of disturbed, but just if you're doing this at home, you're just going to want to go some short, deliberate, kind of powerful movements here to actually start dethatching the lawn. Now with the heavy duty rake, all you're going to do is, like I said, you really want to put a little bit of force into this because you're really trying to break up the roots and all this thatch and all the weeds and things that may be growing in your lawn. Okay, now this is effective. Everybody has a rake. It doesn't have to be super heavy duty, but you're going to be more effective if you are able to get a really powerful kind of movement like that. That's really going to bust up dead plant material on the ground. Like I said, I've already kind of done this, and it's not as effective if starting from scratch. However, I do want to demonstrate with the dethatching rake just how effective that is at actually pulling and busting up weeds and things from the lawn. Alright, so first things first, when you get your dethatching rake, I always start with the angled side, which we mentioned was the more the vertical / cutting side. At least that's what I call it. My channel, I'll make it up as I go along, but there's probably a real word you're supposed to use. I'm not sure. So anyhow, let's go ahead and get close in here. Now with the angled side, you want to make sure that this right here needs to be level on the ground, okay? When the angled side here is actually going to make it what's actually going to cut and or rip through the thatch and the weed and plant material, okay? So you want to, like same with the actual heavy-duty rake, you're going to do short, deliberate motions. You don't want to go, you know, digging in super hard. You don't want to keep it too vertical because you really can slice into the yard, hurting the plants and actually killing the grass you're trying to save. Okay, so like I said, you're going to go with a back and forth motion. Shorter is better. You don't need to rip and actually pull so hard on this that it's actually going to rip beneficial things from the lawn. Okay, so let's go ahead and demonstrate this now. Alright guys, see that right there? You can kind of hear as I was doing that, it was cutting through these roots and these rhizomes. This is some invasive like Bermuda grass stuff right here that you don't want, at least I don't want in the yard. See that? How effective that is? It's cutting and pulling out this Bermuda, these weeds and things like that. So now going over the exact same spot that I was just on, we're going to switch it over to the raking side. Same area. Now this is not really a digging motion. This is going to be more of a pulling motion. okay? And this is actually going to be able to pull off a lot of the stuff that you just cut from the lawn. So like this is not going to be most of the like I said, this is the same kind of material, but you're actually pulling all this off. And don't worry if you pull a little bit of soil off with this, it's going to be just fine. Okay guys, don't be too worried about that. So anyways, now why do you dethatch your lawn? Okay, like I mentioned, it's going to help aerate the soil. It's going to actually scratch the surface of the soil, help moisture and air get into the root zone of the beneficial and the grass you're actually wanting to grow in your lawn. So it's kind of tips on when you want to do it. You want to do this early in the spring while the grass is just beginning to really actively grow. You don't want to do this on a hot sunny day. This is going to stress you out for one, because it's going to be hot and you wants to be out in the sun all day dethatching their yard. Trust me, it's not what you want to do. You'll get tired and overheated pretty quickly. It's pretty involved, you know. It does take a little bit of effort. You do have to do a little bit of manual labor on this, but that's what it's all about. Like I said, getting back to using hand tools and doing stuff in the yard, getting some sun on your back and a little bit of a sweat and everything built up, it's good for you. It's good exercise, and it's, like I said, I'm crazy, I guess. I just like doing yard work by hand anyways. But anyways, like I said, it's going to pull a lot of the weeds out. It's going to dig up things like clover, any kind of viney type of creeping Charlie, stuff like that may be sneaking into your lawn there. It's going to be very effective at pulling them out. At this time, as you can kind of look at the soil here, if we kind of look down closely, like in places like this, where, you know, you might be disappointed. You might realize that your yard must have been a lot of weeds. You might pull out a bunch of old crabgrass or something. You know, it's going to look a little bit shabby right now. The neighbors might look at you like you're kind of like, what are you doing to your lawn? You're destroying it. That's not true. Okay, this right here is going to grow back just fine. And that being said, and this is a perfect time right now to go ahead and overseed your lawn. Get some good grass seed into the exposed areas, which will actually help them establish better. You know, if you've ever tried to overseed your lawn in a heavily thatched lawn, the grass seed's not even going to make it to the soil. It's not going to make contact with the soil because there could have been an inch or quarter inch, or I don't know how long you've been since you dethatched your lawn, if ever, you know, especially if you're using a very inefficient mower that's leaving big particles and things like that building up. The grass seed may never even touch the soil. That might be a reason why you've tried to overseed your lawn in the past and it didn't grow. So this is a perfect time, like I mentioned, to put down some organic, my preference, lawn fertilizer or grass seed early in the spring. Help it get a good established, you know, get it off to the best start you possibly can. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what I've pulled off of the lawn so far this morning. And this is, like I said, this is only about a 25 by 20 little tiny front yard patch that I've just worked on. So the entire backyard to do. Before I get up to the next thing, don't be in a hurry with this. You know, use a short, deliberate motions. Do this, take your time and go over it a couple times, different directions, get as much as you possibly can. You do this once a year, you know, don't be in a hurry. And there are some dogs barking in the background, so, you know, what are you going to do about that? So let me show you what I got over here. So, all right, so look at this, guys. This is off, like I said, just a small little patch in my front yard. Look how much of this stuff I pulled off. There's grass clippings, there's some weeds, there's a lot of like clover vines, here's some other stuff. Like this stuff right here is this nasty weed that grows everywhere around here. This stuff is a runner, it forms over the soil and chokes out your grass. So this is a great way to get all this junk off of your lawn, okay? Now, like I said, your lawn's gonna look a little shabby for a week or two until the stuff kind of establishes and gets back going, but that's all right. So while I got you here, and you have all this nice material right now, please don't do this. Don't bag it up and just sit it out for somebody else to take. Let me show you three things that I'm gonna do that I can show you just in my yard, just here, of how I'm going to use this valuable resource as opposed to just throwing it away and you know, wasting all my time and effort. So let me go ahead and show you number one. All right, so number one, this is where I do my vermicomposting. I made a video a long time ago. This is an old repurposed sandbox that was left over from the previous tenants or land homeowners, whatever. But underneath all this beautiful, you can see some eggshells, all my nice vermicompost. Let's come in real close here. You see down here, this is all my nice beautiful vermicompost, tons of worms, organic matter breaking down. I'm just going to throw some of these old you know, clippings I got right here right on top, which is going to help insulate this. The worms are going to love it. It's going to break down. So yeah, don't throw it away. Find a way to compost it, give it to your worms, okay? It's going to be awesome. They're going to love it. All right, so number two, this is not my finished compost pile, of course, but a lot of leaves, pine needles, things I've gotten. This time of year, early in the spring, the availability of green material for your compost is rather limited. So using this de-thatched lawn waste into the already started compost pile. This is mostly, like I said, leaves and pine needles, etc., etc. By adding the green material into this, I'll go ahead and mix this all up, of course. It's actually going to get that more of that green-brown material balance, which is actually going to get this compost started breaking down. And like I said, this is not going to be used anytime soon. It's going to take the entire summer. It's going to break it down, probably add it into the fall. So, like I said, don't be in a hurry. Take your time, but don't waste this really awesome resource, okay? Use it for making your compost for an early spring source of green material. All right, guys, so number 3, what I'm doing with this, and this is what I'm going to use some of these clippings for, is actually hilling up or around my potatoes. So if you kind of zoom in down here, you can see we had a late season frost, so these potatoes were not protected. Probably should have done a better job of covering these up, but it kind of came out of nowhere this 28-degree night. They had predicted 36, got down to 28, so it wasn't expecting a frost, we got it, but these plants should recover. However, it is very important to actually hill up or keep mulching your potatoes as they grow in order to protect the tubers and allow the potatoes to grow more effectively. So, like I said, just using these old thatch clippings like this, and I'll go ahead and mulch this up around my potatoes really nice and thick, and it'll be fine. So, do you have to use these right away? No, these are just 3 options I have. You could actually let these dry out if you feel, you would like to use these more as dried clippings or dried mulch in the flower beds, garden, or elsewhere. All right, so guys, so this is Dave, your Hillside gardener here, going to go ahead and sign off, showing you how to de-thatch your lawn and giving you 3 awesome tips on how to repurpose the hard work you put in using these grass clippings and this de-thatching material in your yard. So hope you guys liked it. If you did, please subscribe, give it some thumbs up and some nice comments, and we'll see you next time here on the Hillside. Bye-bye.